Hello class. Today we will begin with the first chapter of Business Studies book first, Nature and Significance of Management. While doing this chapter, we will learn various concepts like the concept of management, the characteristics of management, the various objectives of management, why is management important or needed, the nature of management, whether it is an art or science. Is it recognized as a full-fledged profession? If not, why? Then, the various levels involved in management, the functions which are a part of management, which makes it a process, and the very essence of management known as coordination. So, that was the learning outcome of this chapter. To begin with, let me make you understand what is management. Children, today we will discuss about the nature of management. With the development of trade and commerce, the development of management has happened gradually, and over a period of time, it has grown into a dynamic subject which has its own characteristics. And the study of management has evolved over a period of time along with modern organizations based on both the experience and the practice of managers and a set of theoretical relationships. When we talk about whether management is a science or not, we first need to know that what are the features of science. So let's get into the understanding of this topic. Children, science is a systematic body of knowledge. That means it is based on the facts and principles. See, for example, when you throw something up in the sky, it gets back to the ground and falls on the ground. Why? Due to the law of gravity. So we know that in science, whatever facts and principles we have, there are laws and there are conditions behind it. But when we talk about management, we take management as an impure science, and you will be able to understand why management is called an impure science once you understand the various features of science and the relation of management with reference to these features. The first feature of science is that it has a systematic body of knowledge. That means the principles as given in science are based on a cause and effect relationship, and these are derived after findings over years and researching facts. Management is also qualifying this feature where, yes, management does have a systematic body of knowledge because management has its own literature, terminology, and vocabulary. Children, let's now discuss the second feature of science and check whether management has this feature or not. The second feature says that principles are based on experimentation. That means principles have developed through experimentation in science. So when we refer to it, we realize that whatever principle is given in science has been developed after observations and experiments, and they are tested through repeated experimentation under certain conditions. Whereas with reference to management, though management principles have also developed through experimentation and observation, but they are comparatively complex because even after being developed through experimentation, they do not guarantee the same outcome. Why? Because they are applicable on the human resource. And we have understood by far that managing human resource is not easy. It is complex because they are not machines. So they do not respond in a uniform manner. And how they are going to respond to a given situation is quite unpredictable. Therefore, though there are principles in management, but the reactions and the responses to these principles are not repeated accurately every time. That means it may replicate with the outcome sometimes, but sometimes we may have outcome which is not as expected as an output. Therefore, management principles, however, develop through experimentation, but they do not confirm accuracy and they cannot predict a human response accurately in the sense that human beings have different perspectives and different ways of interpreting conditions and different ways of reacting to given conditions. Coming on to the third and the last feature of science, which says universal applicability. That means the principles developed in science are universally applicable. They are more or less the same in all the conditions. That means they'll give the same result everywhere if the prescribed condition is satisfied. Whereas management principles are not exact because their applicability is decided by the situation. Say, for example, what principle you are going to apply depends on the need of the hour. Which principle is preferred by you will depend on which output you are looking forward to achieve. Here we need to understand that managers have certain standard techniques that they use in different situations, and for which, when we do management studies, we are being trained for certain conditions. But a manager has to use his intelligence about how to handle a particular situation or whether he need to modify the principle in a given situation. That's why management principles are not universal, as their application is based on the condition or the situation prevailing in the business. Therefore, the conclusion of this particular aspect, where while discussing the nature of management, we are wanting to inquire whether management is a science or not, the conclusion is management is an impure science. It is an imperfect or behavioral science, popularly known as a social science or soft science, because it deals with human beings, and the response of human beings cannot be guaranteed or predicted. So it depends. And secondly, the principles applied by a manager also are dependent on a particular situation, depending on the feasibility of the business. Therefore, however management qualifies to have a systematic body of knowledge, it fails to fulfill the other two features. Coming on to management as an art. Children, art is something in which we have the skill to perform it in the practical manner. Say, for example, dance, music, drama, cooking. These all are a form of art which we perform. So, art is defined as the skillful and personal application of existing knowledge. Management do qualifies to be an art because it fulfills all the features of an art. Let's discuss the features of the art. First feature of art is existence of theoretical knowledge, because art finds its base in the form of knowledge and theories. And when we talk about management, management as well has a lot of literature with theories and principles which provide guidance to the manager about various situations and different techniques which a manager may follow in a given situation. There is enough literature available. Therefore, the first condition which an art has, that means the existence of theoretical knowledge, is completely fulfilled by management. Second feature of management as an art, children, art has a feature where it emphasizes on the personalized application of knowledge, which means individuals use their skills and the knowledge in their own style. Say, just now we discussed that how even dance is a form of art. So, have you noticed that when there are two dancers dancing on the same song, their performance may vary from each other? Why? Because of their own style. So, when art talks about personalized application of knowledge, yes, in management also, managers use their personal skills and knowledge in managing their enterprise. Come to the third feature of art, which says that art is based on practice and creativity. As art involves creative practice of existing theoretical knowledge, because theory is available to everybody. Whosoever wants can refer to the theory. But what makes the difference is the practical application of the theory, because while applying it practically, you involve your creativeness and your creativity creates the difference. Similarly, when it comes about management, a manager uses his creativity, his innovativeness, and his foresightedness and experience to take a decision which leads to the greater good of the organization. Children, I'll give you a very simple example in this situation, that in case if you watch cricket matches, have you noticed how at times the captain of the team changes the batting order, seeing the performance of the opponent bowlers? It is the captain of the team who acts as the manager at that moment, and he uses his creativity and experience to take a decision which can be dependent on his foresightedness. Therefore, apart from theory, art talks about practice and creativity, and management completely fulfills this condition or feature where, yes, a manager uses his creativity while practicing the various techniques and principles of management. So the conclusion would be yes, management is both a combination of science and art. However, if you get a direct question that is management a science, you can always answer that management is an impure science. But if you get a direct question asking you whether management is an art, the answer can be an absolute yes, management is an art. And if the question asks you to answer whether management is both a combination of science and art, the answer would be yes, management is both a combination of science and art. However, it is treated as a soft science or impure science because it deals with human beings whose response is not standardized and accurate all the time and may not be replicated with the given condition, but it is an art because it qualifies for the three features which says existence of theoretical knowledge, personalized application of knowledge, and it is based on practice and creativity. Let us now discuss management as a profession. Children, profession is defined as an occupation based on specialization in a particular field, whereby you have the expert knowledge and skill in that segment. Say, for example, if you are a doctor, you have the expertise in that particular field of medical science, and you are a member of Medical Council of India. So here what happens that someone is called a professional when one has a specialized skill and knowledge of a particular field or the expertise in a particular segment. Now, discussing the various features of profession and finding whether management has these features or not. Let us begin with the first feature, which says that a profession has a well-defined body of knowledge, because all professionals uh, become an expert after gaining the knowledge through these institutions, and they are a part of these professional bodies. As far as management is concerned, management is also a body of knowledge where you know as of now that there are many institutes and courses which are specifically imparting knowledge and certificates in the field of management education. So, yes, management has also a very well-defined body of knowledge. So, it qualifies the first feature of a profession. Coming on to the second feature, which talks about restricted entry. Children, we know that for someone to be a professional, say for example, we call a doctor or a lawyer or a chartered accountant, they become a professional only once they acquire an educational degree in that particular segment, and that too they happen to pursue once they qualify an examination in that stream. So there is a restricted entry. So for someone to be a lawyer, that person has to qualify the examination which is prescribed by the Bar Council of India. And for someone to be a chartered accountant in India, a candidate has to clear a specified examination conducted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So is the case similar in all other professional degrees, where the candidate has to first clear an entrance exam and then acquire further sessions, and then again clear the final exam to get that professional degree. So when you talk about profession, not everybody can become a professional unless they fulfill these two conditions of clearing the entrance exam and then clearing the qualifying exam, the final exams. But if you talk about management, children, there is no such restriction on becoming a manager of uh, an organization. To become a manager, you are not supposed to sit to qualify in an entrance exam, or you do not need to have a very specific knowledge or qualification in the field of management. In fact, in layman's word, I can say that anyone can become a manager. So this criteria is not fulfilled in terms of management when compared to profession. So profession has a restricted entry, but management does not have any restriction, as anyone can become a manager. Coming up to the third point of profession, every profession has a professional association. Plus, all professions are affiliated to a professional association. Say, for example, when it talk about legal bodies, the Bar Council of India, then when about medical, it is the Medical Council of India. Coming up to the chartered accountants, it is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. These are the associations which regulate the entry into the profession. They grant the certificates of practice. They make the norms and lays down the code of conduct. And that is how these professional associations become the center point whereby they take care of their respective professions in all the possible ways. Similarly, even management has an association, that is the All India Management Association, with well-defined code of conducts, and it does have management rules. But the irony is that there is no compulsion for managers to be a member of this association. And even this association do not have any statutory backing. Therefore, it loses its relevance, because for someone who is a manager in an organization, it is not compulsory for that person to be a member of All India Management Association. Whereas if you are a lawyer, you ought to be a member of the Bar Council of India. If you are a doctor, you ought to be a member of Medical Council of India. So, as the All India Management Association do not have statutory backing, we can say that this particular feature of profession is not completely fulfilled by management, because it may form an association, but if it is not making it obligatory for managers to be a part of this association, this loses its validity, as it is not backed by any law. Therefore, this condition is diluted when you talk about management as a profession. Coming on to the fourth point, which is the ethical code of conduct. Children, we know that all professions have a code of conduct that guides the behavior of the members. And these code of conducts are taken really very seriously, because if the professional member do not follow or fulfill these ethical code of conduct while practicing the profession, you know, uh, he may be expelled from that profession. Okay. So, but when you come to management, there is An ethical code of conduct, as we just discussed that IMA do provide with the code of conduct. IMA means the All India Management Association. We just discussed that it has a well-defined code of conduct. But because not every manager is associated with this association, moreover, it is not obligatory for them to follow the code of conduct. So it is not uniformly accepted by the practicing managers. So merely only having a code of conduct does not qualify. It had to be followed religiously, which is lacking in terms of management. So again, though there is code of conduct present in management by virtue of this All India Management Association, but it is not uniformly accepted by all practicing managers. Come to the last characteristic or feature of profession, and let's see whether management has this feature in it or not. So the last feature is service motive. Children, if you may remember what you learned in grade 11th in business studies, there was this topic, business versus profession, where you learned that a business has profit motive. And there you understood that the basic aim of every profession is to serve the interest of their clients. So if your basic motive is to serve the interest of your client, this is definitely not a profit motive but a service motive. But when it comes about the whether management fulfills this motive or not, children, I'll take you to the first slides where we understood that the basic purpose of management is to help a business or an organization in attaining its objectives. So the point is that if it is about managing a business, uh, by default the business has a profit motive, so the management will serve profit motive. And if it is about managing a hospital or a school, as these are service segments, so automatically the management will have a service motive. Therefore, we can say that management could have both the profit as well as the service motive. But ideally, if it is a good management team, it will automatically serve society. How? By providing good quality products at reasonable prices or good services at justified charges. So if it is a good management, the idea of profit maximization as the objective of management will not hold true, because in the fast changing scenario, management is emphasizing on the efficient and effective use of resources while considering the social objective of the management as well. So to conclude, children, management do fulfill some of the features of profession where it does have a well-defined body of knowledge, it has professional association, and it may have service motive, and rather it does have service motive, but the conclusion is still management cannot be fully recognized as a profession because it does not fulfill the features of restricted entry, and ethical code of conduct are not uniformly accepted by all the practicing managers.